Hello, feminine. I know it's been a while since I've reached out in 3D and in 5D. I I can't say I've necessarily been busy per se. I mean I have, but busy just seems like a really lame thing to say anymore. Because that feels like all I've been telling you. I'm busy, I'm working, I'm wrapped up in this or wrapped up in that, and I just come to realize I've been fooling myself with believing that I've been too busy because I really haven't. I'm coming to realize how much time I've had in my whole life that I've said I was busy or said I didn't have time, and I did. Whether it was 5 minutes to send a text or 10 minutes to clear off a space or an hour to do something for myself, I had time. I'm thinking about time a lot lately. Time, talking, and tears. I'm thinking about all the years that have passed by in my life that feel like I spent all that time saying that I was busy and I didn't have time. And I'm looking back at it, and there's decades of it that I see that I wasted because I told myself I was busy. I told myself I didn't have time. And I'm thinking about how much of that time I've spent taking you for granted and not recognizing what I had. And I've been asking myself a lot lately, who is this guy? Who is this masculine who could treat you that way? Especially lately because, well, I can tell that I'm getting my karma for all the times that I've lied. I lied to myself, lied to you, lied to others. And there's no there's no room for it anymore. That's what the universe is making clear to me. And on top of that, it feels like for every time I've lied to anyone, most especially you, that I am finding that I have been lied to, deceived, tricked, and that I've been lying to myself, which is the worst of it. I spent a long time trying to give myself reasons to. I mean, I guess I just have to admit, feminine, it's been so hard not to try to rush back to you that I have had to give myself lists of reasons why not to. And what's stupid is as more time passes, the less those reasons hold any weight. They just sink like a heavy rock in a pond. It's like I keep trying to pick up the rock and hold it just at the surface and tell myself it's the same difference as it floating, and it's not. It's stupid. And if I remove my hand from it, if I don't constantly think about that rock and holding it there, it falls to the bottom, and then it's just another rock on the bottom of the pond that doesn't float. I mean, I tried to tell myself that we're not compatible, but the time that we spent together, I mean, we certainly were very compatible. We built a lot. I had so much abundance, and I had so many things that I stupidly took for granted, and I've lost all of them. All of them since I left. And even more of them since I pushed you away. Tried to say I was too busy, say I didn't have time. I tried to tell myself that I needed to focus on money and getting work together and having a house and I don't know, I guess being the version of a masculine that I felt like society expected me to be. And I haven't been able to do any of it. I haven't met any of my goals. I haven't accomplished anything that I set my mind to. And the more I sit back and I think about why, I look at where my priorities have been. I've been lying to myself a lot and to everybody else and telling myself that I'm too busy. I don't have time for the things that you told me were important, like self-care or standing up for myself or not always doing what the karmic people in my life want and trying to avoid exactly what you knew that I needed and that I did not want to admit was to heal this codependent side in me, this fear of being alone, of having to take care of myself. And what's stupid is that I look back at the last year, and even though I was surrounded by people, all of whom promised that they would care for me and be my teammate and be my support, and that, they, to be honest, they spy on you and watch you more than I do, and I feel like they are part of the reason why I cannot stop thinking about you. And they promised me in the beginning, before they even knew who you were, that they would be everything that you were and more. All that in a bag of chips, and they have not once been able to hold even an unlit candle tip to who you were and who you are. And they certainly never cared for me the way that you did. I recognize now that you completely spoiled me, feminine, and I kicked you for it. And then I look back at all this time that I've spent away, and it feels like the only thing I can lay any claim of any sense of accomplishment to is that I've actually had to take care of myself. I haven't had anybody who held my hand, who fought with me through my bratty behavior and got me to do the things I was supposed to do. Yeah, I've had people forcing me to do things, most of which I didn't want and didn't need. And most of the time, they didn't care about whether or not I wanted or needed. It was about their image or making sure I could still get to work so I could pay for what they wanted. Or, I don't know, it's pretty obvious how self-serving it was and how little they really thought about what I needed or what I wanted. And then I felt stupid. I felt shallow and vain and selfish for stopping to think about what about me. And then I felt even stupider because I thought, well, my feminine would have thought about that. My feminine would have known that I was sad and made my favorite meal for dinner. My feminine wouldn't have known through my text that I was unhappy that something happened. My feminine would be there when I needed her help with my family. My feminine would see that I wasn't reaching out to my friends and help me reconnect. My feminine would do so many things, and I am the asshole that ran away from her and pushed her away and took for granted all the things that she used to do for me. I feel embarrassed and ashamed. And even worse, I keep hearing myself say I don't know what to do, and I feel like I should. And I keep hearing something that you used to tell me, which was that I don't know is a place to start, not a place to end. But it feels like with me that I don't know is where things go to die. And I feel so frustrated with myself that I know that you've told me everything I need to know. And yet I don't know what to do. And in the times that I feel like I know what to do, like, I just need to apologize. I know that that's not good enough anymore. I've been awful. I've done damnable things, and some of them you don't even know about. And I still have so much to do to get unstuck from the mess that I put myself in. I'm so deeply entangled. I can't even begin to explain how many ways that I'm wrapped up in things that I didn't think that far ahead when I agreed to them. When I got in with these people, when I made promises that I had no business making and no way of knowing whether or not I could even keep them. I didn't do any vetting, I didn't do any checking, I just jumped because I didn't want to be alone. And to be quite honest, when I left, I realized how bad I messed up with you, and I guess I just was so filled with this intense fear that I was never going to be able to make up for it, and that you were so mad, rightfully, I understand that you'd never give me a real chance, and I confused you with people of my past who would have never let me live down what I had done, and I just I told myself that you were already going to replace me and that you deserved to. That I had a lot of work to do and that there wasn't even a likelihood that I could do it because look at what I had already done. I already had time with you. You already gave me every chance and every opportunity, and look how many times I screwed it up. And you started to call me on it and show me truths that I didn't want to see. I didn't want to think I was that bad. I didn't want to think I was that toxic. I didn't want to see it. But at the same time, it was weird because I really wanted to be with you, and I really wanted to be the kind of masculine that you could be proud of, and I could see that you weren't. And I don't know, it just feels like I can't tell you how hard it was to go. The only way that I could manage it was by convincing myself that you were actually so awful, and yet also so high caliber, so too good for me that we were just completely incompatible, and I needed to find somebody on my own wavelength who wouldn't challenge me and would do what I was used to, really. I mean, I realize I didn't see it at the time, but I realize now that I chose to be around people that I knew would hurt me because I knew how they were. I chose to be the king of drama because it felt more exciting than if I really did what I needed to and sat with my feelings and became an adult. I really had it mixed up. I don't even know. I feel like I've been stuck in my teenage years for decades, and then just all of a sudden lately it hit me that actually growing up is not it's not bad, and it doesn't mean being boring. It doesn't mean working all the time and never having any fun. I feel so bored with all the drama that I've allowed to come around me, and even a lot that I've created, and I see how much it hurts everybody. Everybody. Me, you, everyone I care about, everyone who's ever cared about me. I don't have any of the connections I used to. And I look back, feminine, and I think just in the sense of this last year, the karmics that I've been around, I really convinced myself that I'd done it, that I'd found a way to replace you. And I guess I don't know, I just had this notion in my mind that all feminines took care of things, like they took care of their men and holidays and things like that. And maybe they weren't all as good at it as others were, but really didn't realize how spoiled I had been between my family and you. And it ended up being me trying to plan and organize and host every holiday and special day, trying to take care of the karmics kids and family and all of her emotional instability and everything. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And to be honest, it just made me think of you more because you were the only real example that I had of what it looked like to do all that stuff. And I got halfway through it and got so frustrated and thought, I don't even know how she did it. Especially when I realized that the ways that people were acting around me was exactly the ways that I acted around you. I was not a good teammate. I didn't help. I didn't think about what you were going through or how hard it was. I just left you to do it. And I wasn't even grateful for it. I feel like I am now, but it feels like a day late and a dollar short. Now I miss it. Now I'm grateful for it. Now I understand it. And now I want to apologize, but there's saying sorry isn't enough. I mean, even if it was enough for you, it isn't enough for me. I don't feel good enough to do it. But the stupid thing is I know I felt that before. I used that as a lot of my reason to stay away. I told myself, you're not good enough for her. You can't do half the things she does. Look at her out there glowing up, not attached to anyone, still loving you but not chasing you and doing her own thing. She's getting all this attention, and yet she's not wrapped up in these toxic entanglements. She's taking care of business and doesn't take a thing from you, leads her community, and life is pretty good for her. And I just, I looked at you, and in many ways, I was jealous of that. And I felt so stupid and jealous. I mean, I really expected, feminine, that when I left, you would instantly be swooped up by some new masculine who'd be 10 times better than me, and that you'd be happy and probably be married by now. And I didn't even know where I would end up. I didn't really care. I wasn't thinking that far ahead because it was just so hard to go. I just knew I was tired of hurting you and tired of disappointing you and tired of not feeling good enough. It just felt like I needed to leave you before you left me, and who cares where I ended up. But then I see you, and it's funny because I expected to be jealous of whoever you were with. I expected to be watching you glow up and grow up with somebody who actually treated you the way, in all the ways that I should have. And you didn't. You didn't do that. You went off on your own. You had your own adventures, and you completely showed me up. I, I can remember so many arguments and fights that we had where you were telling me how to do it, how to not be miserable, how to save money, how to be an adult, how to be a good parent, how to be a good friend, how to be there for my family, and I completely threw it off. I kept rationalizing that because I was older than you, that I should know better, and that there's no way you could know more than me or have more life experience than me, or that all of your researching that you did could possibly equal more than what I know. I was an arrogant prick. And the more I've been away, the more things have happened where I know you don't say I told you so, but I'm hearing it in my head, and it's in your voice because you did tell me so. You warned me about all these things, and they're happening. And what sucks even more is the kinds of things that are happening are the kinds of things where I need a partner like you to help me through it. And I'm realizing more and more how stupid I was for not listening to you and making you feel bad because you saw farther ahead than I did. And now I feel like I'm in that. I feel like I made my bed and I might as well lie in it. But I should just struggle through it, figure it out. I mean, I made you do that. It feels like the kind of karma that I deserve. To lose everything and everyone and all my abundance and everything that I took for granted, and to have to start from the bottom and move my way up. And I don't know, it's funny because feminine, I can't tell you how many times that I've done anything and everything I could possibly think of to try to burn you out of my mind. Everything. I tried every distraction, every method. I've done some things to myself that I'm embarrassed to say that I did when I was desperate to get you out of my head, to stop thinking about you, to focus on anything and everyone else, and it still didn't work. And then I found myself, I woke up one day and I saw the life that I built around myself, and I hated it. And I wanted to escape from it, but I couldn't. everything I tried to do to get away from the karmics, it didn't work. I don't know. I know I was trying to use old tactics and old tricks, and I think what it is that the universe wasn't going to let me use that old stuff to get out of it. And I'm glad that it didn't, but it's still been so frustrating because I wanted desperately to be out of the situation and I couldn't. I think I realized that I realized not long ago that part of it was my fear of conflict, fear of being alone, and so I told myself I was stuck. I told myself that I couldn't get away from it, that I just had to stick with it. I chose this life. I built momentum in it. I've invested in it. It's part of my identity now. I just need to go with it. And I saw you out there looking happy and glowing up and thought, I don't want to ruin that. Especially not while I'm stuck in this and either don't know how to get out of it or I'm just not brave enough to do it yet. And that's when I found, well, I tried again. I tried again to take you out of my mind. That's when I really started to pull away hard and push you away as hard as I could. And what's stupid is the farther I pushed and the farther you went, the more I found myself doing the things for myself that you used to do for me. Telling myself what you used to say, reassuring myself, doing little things around the house that you used to do. Trying to change my mindset, trying to do that manifesting stuff you talked about, trying to have new experiences and to focus on living my life and not always planning for death or just jumping in and not thinking ahead. And those things became the only way that I could escape what felt like the horrors of the situation that I'd been in. And the more I did that, the more I felt strong. But then when I tried to place healthy boundaries, tried to set myself free, then it just became ridiculous with this karmic. It's like she came right out of a nightmare and just knows everything to say to knock me back into place and keep me here. I mean, and when that didn't work, it seemed like then it was legal and familial entanglements and threats to ruin everything everyone ever has known about me. And I convinced myself that if I just shut up and I behaved and I just did what she wanted, that that wouldn't happen. And now look, it's happening anyways. I feel like any day now, the tea is going to be spilled all over the floor and it's not going to be able to be ignored. And I was stupid enough to believe that if I just did what she wanted, if I just took my karmic punishment, that at least I could get away with pretending like my life was good, pretending like I was happy without you. That's not going to happen. And I don't know, it's really kind of strange to say it, but I actually don't feel as afraid of that as I did. And I've noticed that even though I don't really have much to be proud of in the life that I tried to build in running away from you, I keep finding things that I can be proud of, things that you would have told me to be proud of, the little steps, the little stuff, the little things. And I don't feel so afraid of being alone. To be honest, the situation that I put myself in, being alone, would be a paradise right now. It still wouldn't be being with you, but it feels like it would be better than being where I am or finding myself in yet another situation like this, which I know until I have healed, I would jump right into. And to be honest, feminine, it's one of the few things giving me a bit of strength and helping me continue to keep my distance for a little bit because you don't deserve a me who comes back broken again. I already owe you so much for all the times that you did pick me up when I was broken. I don't want to come back to you as a masculine like that again. I want to come back to you as a divine masculine. I want to show you how many things that I've learned, how many ways that I've awoken, how much better I treat my own body, how many ways that I've found you and finding myself just like you said I would. I remember when you told me that. Whenever you get scared, whenever you feel lonely or lost, just look within yourself and that's where you'll always find me. Feminine, I can't tell you how much those words have not just rung in my ears, but in my heart this whole time. And I laugh at myself because I pushed that away for so long, thinking that was just stupid, corny, romantic shit, or that you were just telling me that because you felt bad for me. And yet, the more time passes, the more I see how true that is. Because every time I look within and try to find myself, I find you. I find my happiness in thoughts about you, in looking at old pictures of us, in checking on your social media much more than I'd like to admit that I do, in doing things for myself that you used to do for me. Even in the harder lessons where I realize how I mistreated you and how I screwed it up, I find myself happy for the lesson, happy for an opportunity to understand what I did and how I did it and why. And to understand why you find it so fascinating to know about those things. And why it is that you got so carried away and got so ahead of me in working on yourself and connecting with the universe and learning to pray, in learning to look at each day as a possibility of new adventures rather than another day of possible misery and disasters like I used to think of it. I've even been getting into music that I never used to like before, but I remember you listening to it. And I realized why you listen to it. A lot of it is just so deep. Even sometimes some musicals, which I'd never admit to anybody else that I get into, but I do like them. And there's one that I listened to the other day. And it was, I just remember a certain part of it. It was something like seasons may change, winter may call, and I'll love you until my dying day. I know it's from a movie that you really liked. I can't quite remember it exactly, but I hear it in my head a lot, along with other songs that I know that you loved and you tried to get me to listen to. I don't know, feminine. I've got a lot of work to do. And I'm scared. I'm really scared because I'm getting free. Well, to be honest, I don't think even if I wanted to stay in the situations that I've been in, I don't think the universe is going to let me. There's just been tower moment after tower moment after tower moment in between me just being so completely done with the situations that I've been in and so done with being who I've been. It's clear that the people who said that they would be there and who made me make vows that I would never give up, they're done too. It's just kind of a mutual done, and I don't ever want to go back to being who I was. I want to do what you said I should do. I want to be brave. I want to try to be single for a while. But I know there's going to be a lot of shadows that I have to face because I'm really afraid to be with myself. But I can say that I appreciate you even more because in your willingness to let me go, to let me make my own messes and screw things up in my own ways, and to just do your own thing and show me who you are when you're not wrapped up in trying to save me. That I have found that wrapping myself up in other people doesn't equal not being lonely. And it doesn't mean that I'll be cared for or thought about. And it doesn't mean that I can hide from my own thoughts at all. In fact, I think I've been more stuck in the thoughts that I was afraid to face by being around these people that I jumped in and embraced before I even thought about it. And the longer I stay with them, the more I want to run back to you. To be honest, in some ways, I kind of wonder if I'm alone for a while and I don't surround myself with all these people that maybe I might actually be able to stop thinking about you all the time. But I am worried because it's taken a lot not to tell you exactly what's going on. It's taken a lot not to tell you that I'm almost free, but I don't want to tell you that. And then there's been so many times that I swear I've sent out to the universe, been like, thank Spirit, I'm free at last. And I wanted to tell you, but I remembered the times that I told you before and then I wasn't. And I tried back then to keep it ambiguous, so at least if something changed, that I had plausible deniability, but it still hurt you. I know that it did, and I cannot stand to be that person again and do that to you again. So I've kept it to myself, other than trying to send it to you, I guess what you call telepathically. I'm just hoping that you hear the songs that I sing out loud in the car and in the shower to myself, and just hope that you hear them and you know them and that you know that I love you. And I was stupid to ever think that I didn't, and I'm sorry that I ever gave you the impression that you weren't always the one, and that I'm coming. I just, I have to do it right this time. I have to figure it out. I gotta stop letting I don't know be the place that things die in my life. I gotta stop procrastinating and running out of time, which is what it feels like is gonna happen. But I'm trying to remember some of the things that I've learned, especially from you, and I'm trying to have faith that it's okay to take the time I need. It's okay to take little steps. It's okay to be slow. It's okay to not know sometimes. I'm just praying that I'm not misplacing my faith and that I'm doing it right this time. And that by the time that I'm ready, you'll be there. I hope with your arms open, and I hope that you'll be ready to kiss me, because Feminine, I thought more often about the last time that you kissed me. Just on the cheek as kind of a goodbye, and I've longed for that tenderness ever since, and I just pray that it's still there by the time I figure out how to get my act together and to treat you the way you deserve to be treated, and to be the kind of guy that not only you feel proud of, but I feel proud of.